Woot woot, my jelly beans. I'm high on caffeine and gummy bears. So I finally bought the Axolotl. I didn't even know these little amphibians existed. And they're so freakishly cute with their little sweet face and smile. My Axolotl, my Axolotl, I really can't say it, is going to the zoo today and meeting up with some friends. So we're going to jazz her up Diva style. So let's dive right in. I fancy doing some colouring in. I have this pigment that is purpley green. We're going to need two soft brushes, one with a long tip and another a bit on the chubby side to lay the pigment down. I have a tub with dirty brushes I need to clean up and a big tub of moulds just staring at me for their bubble bath. I so don't enjoy that part. If anyone fancies coming over to help out, they get a cuddle. I've used the long tip brush to get into the antennae. Are they antennae? Not sure. I haven't checked. And for the tip of the tail and the spine. I'm not too fussed if I miss a few areas, as I will be backing it in an opaque colour. Use the bigger brush to cover the rest of the body. The colours I'm using today are just an orientation. You can use any colour combo that tickles your fancy, as this design will look gorgeous in every palette. You could even do it marbled or just go in with a monochrome. But she's a diva today, so let's go a little above and beyond for her. You guessed it, I'm going to use my favourite resin art line crystal. It's so low viscosity that it's a dream. No more bubbles. Oh, and guess what? We're having an art line giveaway. Woot woot. So hit that bell button to make sure you don't miss out. Don't forget to tell your resin friends too. The other day, I was using another brand of resin. I won't say the name as it wouldn't be fair. And the smell blew me away. My resinous air purifier went ballistic. It made me jump. And I noticed my upper lip started to itch. I actually know a lot of people are allergic to that resin. I just thought I was a tough cookie, but nope, not for me. At least with this resin, it doesn't make my resinous air purifier call the fireman. Actually, it would be an eye cheer up to see one. I lost my train of thought there. I've already mixed my Artline crystal resin, and just look how crystal clear it is. I love it. I made 150 ml. Time to put our boxing gloves on. Nothing worse than getting sticky resin on your hands, especially if you're allergic to resin. So far, I haven't had that problem, but it's not worth the risk. So do use the correct protective gear, my beautiful jelly beans. Safety first. We will be doing the Resiners Light Air Purifier giveaway today, so keep your eyes peeled. For the background colour, I'm going to go for a pinky shade. I do want it pretty opaque. I really need to get some more pigment paste colours, because using alcohol inks aren't that pigmented for a large quantity of resin. I mean, they are, but you have to use a lot. I ended up squeezing a fairly good amount, which makes me squirm in my chair, and I had to use another big squirt of pigment again. Stir it all in to make sure the pigment is nice and homogeneous. We don't want pigment blobs in our make. Make sure you scrape the sides because it does like to cling onto it. And that way you also double check that you're mixing unmixed resin that could have clung onto the sides too. For that extra oomph, I'm adding some interference pink into the mix, just to give it a little hint of sparkle without being too overpowering. I wonder why they gave it that name, interference. It feels so unwanted, no love. Surprise, surprise, I ended up adding another scoop of the interference pink. I must sound like a right stingy monkey. I swear I'm not. But when it comes to art products, I want them to last forever. Never enough colours. Make sure you really mix the powder in, as it can hide and stay in clumps. You could mix the powder beforehand in a bit of resin. This will break down the powder better, but I'm a bit of a Mordor orc and I just dump it all in. Get in there. Once happy, pour the resin into your axolotl off of, and watch how this resin just reaches all the corners like water. I know I'm being a pain in the neck, going on and on about how lush outline resin is. But it is. It's lush and it's perfect for beginners and professionals alike. Sometimes we need that extra quality to avoid bad makes, which end up in the trash can. Not to mention, cheaper resins go yellow in no time. And if you sell your makes, you want your clients to be happy. I do have a 15% discount for you in the description box. Artline also has special offers. Just keep an eye out for them. They also have lots of competitions on their Facebook too. Pour the resin halfway up and just squeeze the antennae just in case we get trapped bubbles. I do it just in case, but sometimes I forget. And because this resin is so low viscosity, it reaches those areas perfectly. But if you do remember, just do it for extra peace of mind. Then fill the whole axolotl. Yep, I googled it so I could pronounce it. Axolotl. Axolotl. I need to keep off the caffeine and sugar. Time to cure. I use my resin as curing machine to speed things up. I'm an impatient puppy. You can decide how long you want it to roll. I use 2 hours on a heat level 30 or 40 degrees Celsius, depending on how hot it is in my art room. It has completely cured except the feet, which are still pretty soft. This is very normal because, funny enough, the thinner the resin is, the longer it takes to cure. And yet, the bigger or thicker parts of a mold with resin in it, because it generates more heat, it cures better and faster. I ended up getting my son to help me out because I was having a hard time pulling it out. I need to practice this one. It's finally out and the toes got a little squitch. So typical of me. I should have used a higher heat mode. I should also take note of this in a little book with resin quantity, but I always forget. My neurons are on another speed of their own. The beauty of aging. It's time to start jazzing it up. I used a chrome top coat as I wanted to add a pigment. All you need is a thin top coat. Unfortunately, we can't do it in sections as we have to cure it for 30 seconds. And if we did it in sections, each other section will end up being cured for longer. This product, if it's overcured, won't do the desired work we need for the pigment to adhere. Actually, I just got a neuron spark. We could actually do it in sections and add the pigment, then do another section, add the pigment, and so on. I'm still on a learning curve myself with this product. And that's what I should have done because the chrome top coat was starting to make patches as it didn't have anything to adhere to. To have avoided this, I should have used a matte top coat, which can be done in sections without any problem. Plus, it cures in seconds. If I had used the matte top coat, I would have avoided the patchiness, thus giving the chrome something to adhere to. Once you've completed it, make sure to remember to cure under a double-sided UV lamp for only 30 seconds. Thank goodness I didn't forget that. Pick up a pigment that tickles your fancy. The one I chose had blues and reddish pinks. We want an aurora pigment for this part. Opening these little pots are so tricky for my chubby fingers. And if they're not closed properly, you end up finding that the pigment starts to fall out. I have a bag that is encased in a pigment. I even have fingerprints on my car. Ooh, can you imagine an aurora-coloured car? That would be so cool. Grab a soft brush and begin to add the pigment of your choice onto your project. You really don't need much. Use the brush to spread it around and you'll see how a small amount goes really far. You can already see the difference from the area that has been coloured to the other side which hasn't. You could skip this part, but she's a diva. So let's give her the bling bling she deserves. Once done, use the fingers to burnish the pigment in to make it really shine, and this will also make it smoother. I'm so peeved that it's patchy, especially as I could have avoided this with either a matte top coat underneath the chrome top coat or done it in sections. Well, looking on the bright side, it's best that I make the mistake so you don't have to. Just like study putties. Next up, I'm going to use J Addiction Low Viscosity UV Resin. If you're wondering why I write DOM on my bottle, it's so I can find it quicker. And it reminds me that it's the best when we need to dome something. Like I said, my neurons need the extra help. Add a small amount into a disposable cup, way less than I added. A third of what I added would have sufficed. I want to add some glitter to the UV resin, and I chose rose gold holographic from Hemway. Yep, as much as I love looking at it, I just hate how it gets everywhere. Use any glitter you have, but avoid the chunky ones. The finer it is, the better. Grab a much, much smaller scoop than I did and add it to your UV resin. As soon as I put it in, I knew it was way too much. I'm just standing there looking at it as if I could magically turn the time back. It's always best to add bit by bit because the only way to subtract is by adding more UV resin. As soon as I added a stirring stick, I knew that colour was a hint darker than what I was going for. I do love these mini stirring sticks. I use them more than the bigger ones as they don't usually make the cup topple over, which I've done many, many times. Time to put the lid back on, because if I topple it over, I don't want to look like Edward in Twilight. Well, it could be a trend. I wasn't too happy how the glitter had darkened once it hit the UV resin. I decided to add a bit of white glitter. Okay, that was 2 scoops. This glitter is really pretty. It has little blue specks and it looks like an aurora. This got thick really fast and I didn't want it that thick. Did the white glitter lighten the rose gold? No, not really. Maybe just a tinge. I ended up adding more J Addiction low viscosity UV resin to thin it out. I was worried it wouldn't cure properly if I didn't thin it out. I had made way too much. Once I finished using it, I did hide it in a dark tin so I could always use it again if I needed to. Okay, for this next part, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Okay, for this part, you're going to need a dotting tool and a UV torch. Grab some product onto your dotting tool and add a little blob onto your axolotl. Use your UV torch to cure it for a few seconds. This will stop the glitter from moving. Keep adding more blobs all over the axolotl. I'm feeling so good about axolotl. I did 3 different sizes. Make sure you don't put them too close together, but neither miles apart. I wouldn't make the blobs any bigger than 3 millimeters. As much as it is tempting to work faster, we want them to be proportionate to the body size. Actually, come to think of it might be interesting to see bigger blobs. Of course, no bigger than a centimeter. You never know, it might even look good or even better. But unfortunately, we won't see that today. Make sure to use your UV torch often over the blobs to avoid mishaps. Also, every so often, I would put it under my UV lamp for a minute to cure it better and avoid smudging the blobs with my hand. This will take about 10 minutes, more or less. My hands shake a lot, so it takes me a bit longer. But before we continue, I think it's time for the giveaway. Resiners has kindly given us a chance to win a light air purifier. The Pura Light Resin Air Purifier is created for close-range epoxy resin work, focusing on air purification during mixing, pouring, and curing. It has an advanced 2-stage filtration for maximum protection. The first layer is a pre-filter, which captures large particles like dust, fibers, and hair. The second layer, the H13 HEPA and resin fumes. The purifying filter filters 99.97% airborne particles. It has real-time TVOC monitoring at a glance. The built-in sensor continuously tracks resin fumes paired with color-coded air quality indicators, green, yellow, and red, meaning danger, danger. Pure Air Light automatically adjusts fan speed based on the air quality. It's lightweight and easy to move, weighing only 2.4 kilos. How to enter the giveaway? You must be a subscriber or a channel member to enter. It's open worldwide so that everyone has an opportunity. The winner will be announced on Saturday, the 27th of June, and we will be using a random name picker app. The last entry is at 12 midnight on Friday, the 26th of June, due to video uploading. The secret word to enter is ice cream. Therefore, leave or add the word ice cream in your comment. 1 entry per person. Don't forget to tell your resin friends, as sharing is caring. Good luck, my juicy jelly beans. Don't forget there will be more giveaways coming. The Big Frog mold has also arrived and it's also up for giveaway. This giveaway is only for the channel members. If you're interested in becoming a member, I have left a link in the description box along with everything I'm using today and juicy discount codes. All proceeds go back into the channel for art materials. The winner will also be announced on Saturday, the 27th of June, and will be using a random name picker app. Now, where were we? Okay, it's time to spice it up. Our Diva's waiting. For this next part, I cut corners because it was 3 a.m. and I was running out of juice. And the thought of having to still do all the editing was causing me serious anxiety. I'm using a black stamping UV gel, but you could make your own by using some low viscosity UV resin and a black opaque pigment. Don't worry, we're using small amounts and they will cure perfectly. You're going to need a thin small nib brush to help us be more precise. As you can see, this one is the perfect size for what we need to do next. Dip the tip of your brush into the black pigment. If you have too much on your brush, just wipe it down using the edge of your pot. Grab your axolotl and we'll begin on the face area. I'm psyching myself up here. I could see myself. Begin to do kidney shapes around the blobs. I left some space as I didn't want a full circle. I also added here and there some little spots. Some look like mini jelly beans or hearts. Mind you, not done on purpose. We're going to do this in stages as we're not going to cure until we do the next process. So just do small areas at a time to avoid smudging anything. If you've made a mistake, don't panic. Just use a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol to wipe it off. It cleans right off without leaving any dark patches. It was at this moment that one decided it was time to listen to some Nina Simone, to relax and release a bit of the anxiety one was feeling. So I'm going to put a little bit of music for you whilst you watch this part and you get a better understanding of what I'm doing.
You got it. You got it. You got it. I know sometimes life can be tough, and you feel like you just had enough. When you're thinking everything is gone wrong, just remember that I'm here to cheer you on. Yeah.
So the head area is done. Remember, you mustn't cure as we need it wet. I'm going to add some translucent acrylic powder all over the area we just painted with the black pigment. Put a piece of paper under your axolotl so we can pick up the falling powder and tip it back into the jar. Use a little spoon to pick up some of the powder and sprinkle it over the black pigment. Don't be stingy with the powder as we really need to cover every area the black pigment is on. Besides, the fallout we can reuse again. This powder is so fine it's like dust and it's perfect to make a 3D matte effect. This pot is going to last me for ages. I decided to do it so it would dial back the black and not make it all so shiny. It's completely optional and you could skip this part in your project. If you decide to skip the powder, then definitely you need to cure under a UV lamp every time you do a section. Once you have covered the black spots with the powder, cure with a UV torch for about 30 seconds. Use a brush to clean off the dust. Every time I finished an area, I would scoop up the paper and put the fallout back into the pot. I did this as I mentioned before. The powder is very dust-like, and you need a good clean area to be able to continue without accidentally getting any of the stuff on your axolotl whilst you're adding the black pigment. It was here, late at night, when she realized she had made a very big mistake. The heat was sticky and the air felt heavy. In the background, the fan whizzed, trying to keep her cool. There was silence. She was devastated. She had forgotten to dip her piece in UV resin to get the patches evened out. She wanted a smooth surface. How could she have forgotten such an important step? Frustrated and upset, she only had two choices. Would it be to start again? Or was it too late? And there was no turning back. To be continued. Yeah, I kicked myself for that big mistake, and I couldn't start over without having a mental breakdown at nearly 4 a.m. Big thank you to all my subscribers and channel members. You guys are so sweet to put up with me and still be here cheering me on. Love you to the moon and back. Don't forget to give us a like if you have enjoyed this video and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out. Before I continued with the rest of the body, I took a wet wipe to eliminate the dust particles I could feel around the body. Once done, continue to do the same as before, adding the black patterns to the blobs, repeating the same process with the rest of the body. After I had completed it, I ran it under some cold water to get all the dust off, and I used a paper towel to just dry it up. It's time to do the eyes. I wanted them to stand out from the rest of the body, so I decided to go for a blue. I chose a UV nail gel just to speed it up because I was knackered by this point. That's what happens when you say tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and it bites you on the tootsie. I nearly went straight in using the brush that comes with the UV nail, but I had an epiphany and decided to use a small brush. I really didn't want to start cleaning any mistakes I would make. Once done, I placed it under my UV lamp and cured it. Keep watching for the end results. Toodles!
This ain't a Beamer, this a big dance. Chrome heart got me kissing on his best friend. Put in work, baby, you could be my best man. Sending cash to my account, he investing. Dark shades on when I'm off the Migos. He's tryna cuff me like a in a Rico. Moving through the like GTA with a cheat code. He claimed that he love me, but before not a freak. I just wanna dance all night.